Hello, this is Leslie at the Grungy Stamper, and this is a video on how to make this little goodie here. I posted this, a couple days ago and had some requests to give dimensions and so forth, so I thought I would give it a try. This is the exact same little folder, and I just added a little different treatment to it, and then this one as well. So depending on what you prefer look-wise, this is how I did it. These are some of the things that I used. Of course, circle punches, and I'm going to hold up the dimensions. This is the front panel that you see here that's embossed, and those are the dimensions if you want to write those down. And the top panel, for example, on this one, this is the dimensions for that. Of course, I rounded the corners and inked the edges. And then I used a hanging folder. So it's the grungy green folder that I used. The only thing you need, because I used a folder, is because you want a 14-inch total length from top to bottom. And that way the folds are included in the hanging folders. You'll see that. And then I scored it at 2.5 inches for this top flap. So that's the dimensions for that. And 4 inches wide. And that gives you the proper dimensions. And then you can do what you like with it. I'll show you what I did. So I have a embossing machine, a die cut machine. This is the embossing folder that I pretty much exclusively use, even though I have a whole bunch of them. I like the look of this. And this is nice as far as the embossing goes, because you can sand this and it gives you this kind of a look. It gives you more of an aged look. So that's the dimensions that I showed you for that. So we'll go ahead and start. I'm going to take this back, and this is what I did. So we've got the dimensions for this, and I attached that there in the front panel with quite a long overhang there. You want to make sure that you don't cut this right at the fold line, because then you won't be able to close the envelope. So attached that, and then rounded the corners and glue this down. And then from there, I'm going to show you a couple different closures that I've used on other ones that you could incorporate into this particular one. This happens to be a hidden paper clip closure. It works well on the smaller envelopes. This one is also a paper clip closure. Just to go ahead and slide that on. That'll keep it closed. Oh, and then this, I did a tutorial on how to make these glossy rings. This one happens to be a 25mm ring. I have also a closure. This one, I just have some stretchy lace, but actually used Velcro to keep this one closed. So that's how that one was done. And this one, I just did the button closure. Not as easy as I like. And this one you have to have a little bit of space in between the bottom circle and the top. And I can show you how I created that space in between. And that allows you to then wind it properly to get that. And then on this one, a little bit different design, but again, just the stretchy elastic. I got this at Hobby Lobby, which has 3 different sizes. This is the thickest one. I believe this is a 1mm thickness. You can get these online as well in different colors. I had the same idea for this one, just as a very quick closure. And then this one. And again, I just used a button closure, put a brad in the middle. On the back, underneath this piece here, I have just a square piece of cardstock that I glued the twine underneath so that I could then wrap it a couple of times and put a little charm on the end. That's how I did that one. And then one last one, again, very simple, but a large, I believe that's a 1.5 inch circle and a 1 inch circle. I'm not sure, but then I glued it here with a large brad, and then I can close it that way. But again, this could be used just as easily by attaching the Velcro tab to it, which is super simple. So those are the different ways. I hope that was helpful. One more little, this is actually a 1 inch. This is probably the 1.5 inch. And so that would make this largest circle a 2 inch. Whatever you have, you can play around with it and determine what would work best for you. The other thing I was going to show you are these fun little closures you can also use. I just took a piece of coffee dyed music sheet paper. You could also just attach that. Those are cool looking. I love those little glossy circles. And then this was just attached with Velcro as well, but you could glue one of those on. Those are so fun to make. I have a Christmas one that will go really well with that green color. You can buy this color of folder at Walmart. They still make them in this grungy green color. This is, I believe, a 16 millimeter brass ring, and that's about the size there. I have a 9 millimeter that was a little too small to even see what was inside. I felt like the 15, 16 millimeter here was even a bit small, but I liked the way it turned out. So that's another thing that would be fun to use as part of a closure. And I hope that was helpful. I just thought it would be a good, quick way to look to see what the dimensions were for this one. If you have folders, don't have to be hanging folders, but they do need, when opened up, to be 14 inches in length. All right, I hope that was helpful, and we'll do this again soon.